Very abrupt. Welcome to the Heat Check podcast. I am your host, Chris Patrick. Back to you live. It is August 4th, 2020. Wow, what the heck are the Cardinals doing? Man, we got a lot to talk about. With me to do that and break it all down, as always, is Mr. Michael Benjamin. I'm off tonight, man. I'm off. What's going on?
What up? What up? Yo, Chris, you just went back in time, dude. You went back to 2020. It's like COVID all over again, apparently.
Yeah, it seems like it. I'm like,
hey, man, I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well. We're almost to the weekend. Super excited for this weekend. Actually, we're going to be heading out to Cardinals training camp on Saturday to take a look at red and white practice. But we've already had a lot of stuff going on this week, so I'm excited to be here with you and chat about what we're seeing. And first and foremost, free BG, baby.
Yeah. Free BG, no doubt. That's really sad. She, if anyone, just to touch on it real quick, the news is that her verdict came out in the trial in Russia today. So 9-year sentence. I was seeing that they're going to negotiate that down, and I think there's still some hope that she could be coming home. So keeping the hope alive, either shortening it significantly to just a few months or time served or whatever. But let's get BG home. And with any updates, we'll get that out there. Mike said, I'm really excited to go to red and white practice. I haven't been in years. Mike, when's the last time you went out there?
I mean, honestly, man, was it the last time that we went when Jake Coker was on the team? What was that, 2016?
I think so. Yeah, so like 6 years ago. That's hard to imagine. The time just flies, man.
It's definitely a different vibe when training camp is in Glendale than compared to back in the day when it used to be in Flagstaff. I felt like the Flagstaff training camps were they were a little bit more personal, right? Like, obviously you're not in the huge stadium of State Farm and, players are walking right by you. You're basically at ground level with them. I can't tell you how many autographs, I used to get when I was a kid going over there. So it's a different vibe. It's not my favorite. But, it's free to the public, and it's a good opportunity to kind of see some of these new guys who are coming into the fold. And especially that red-white practice is good because it's really your first kind of true game action that you're seeing instead of, the drills, 7-on-7s, 1-on-1 matchups, whatnot, that they've been doing for the past week since training camp started. But definitely excited. It's going to be a good time. And hopefully we'll gather some content out there for everybody.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm excited for that. We'll take the tripod out there, the selfie stick, if you will, and see if we can get some VSP content. Oh, I got to show you later. Actually, this might be a bit premature, but I'm going to tell you. Sabrina has been helping me make a Valley Sports Plug T-shirt.
Oh, hell yeah!
As like a prototype if we want to get some merch up in the future. But so far we got the part of the logo on the back, that red circle with the AZ in the middle. And then underneath, I think I'm going to put Valley Sports Plug. And then trying to figure out, I want to do like a small thing here. I'm thinking like a logo or, she was suggesting something else. So we definitely have some other logo mock-ups. So more to come on that for sure. But just to kind of real quick touch on what everything else is going on. Of course, training camp. We got Hollywood Brown speeded down the 101. Definitely want to talk about that. Apparently, just breaking earlier this afternoon, we got assistant running back coaches facing 2 domestic battery charges stemming from an incident in May. So the Cardinals are just kind of a mess right now. And then on top of that, you got Jay Crowder sending out cryptic tweets. Was this a trade request? Is there something he's gone to James Jones with? I was trying to pull it up real quick, what the tweet was, but we can dive. I definitely want to dive into that. And then anything else that comes up, we're live right now. So if you are joining us, I think we might try and get some pinned comments up there, but yeah, leave some comments and you might help drive the show or bring something up that we might've overlooked. So always looking for some input, but yeah, Mike, you ready to get on into this?
Yeah, of course. And before we start though, remember, this is the Heat Check podcast, a Valley Sports Plug production. Follow us to join in the conversation, as Chris said, obviously. Valley Sports Plug on Facebook and Twitter at Arizona BSP. You can follow Chris at 1993 MFC on Twitter Follow myself on all socials at Mike_Benjamin. To listen to all of our podcasts back, you can go to Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube page at Valley Sports Plug. That's where all of our live streams happen. That's where everything's going down. So please join us. All right, Chris, over to you.
Thank you, sir. And I just wanted to mention, if you picked us up from any social media or saw our posts, Delmo Sons is going to be joining us. He has a lot of not inside knowledge, but he has a lot of knowledge on Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns. Love having him on. He's a friend of the show. He's in the VSP family, a contributor, if you will. So he should be joining us here pretty soon. And as soon as he pops up in the StreamYard here, I'm going to bring him on. But yeah, me and Mike will get it started here and kind of look at these woes going on with the Cardinals already. Just training camp off to a disaster. I was telling you about this story with the hotel, and it was leaking from the storms. And then there's like a dispute. They had to move hotels. I think they're at the Wigwam now. They're back at is this State Farm Stadium, or it is still State Farm Stadium?
It's still State Farm. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're at State Farm Stadium.
I wish it was Pink Taco. You remember when the stadium was first built and that was one of the options that it was going to be?
Yeah,
dude, that would have been legendary if they would have been able to pull that off. The Pink Taco, my goodness.
The Pink Taco. Was it just going to be the Pink Taco, or was it going to be like the Pink Taco Stadium?
Yeah, it probably would have been
probably something like that. Even
the
still,
Pink Taco Stadium. Yeah.
I mean, come on. If the Pelicans can do the King Center, why can't we have the Pink Taco Stadium? Anyway, so you got that. Like I said, it's kind of touched on. Now Hollywood Brown got arrested for criminal speeding, doing 126 in the opposite direction of training camp. I would imagine he's going to face a suspension of some extent. Speaking of suspensions, DeAndre Hopkins came out, and I think when it was initially breaking, I don't know if it ever came from him, but I had heard that they chose not to appeal it. And then now he's coming out and saying, no, it's not that we chose to appeal it because we didn't have time. And I just find that hard to believe, that you didn't have time to appeal any kind of suspension, or even why still today, before the season starts, you can't appeal a suspension. Like, we've known about the suspension for months now. This isn't anything new to now in training camp, you're going to be dropping that. So that's what on a surface level is just going on. And I think just to kick it off, and maybe we can ask Davey what he thinks later when he gets in here, but do you think the Cardinals have like a culture problem, or what is going on, Mike?
A lot is going on, and a lot of the not right things seem to be going on. Everything but football, it seems. As far as the DeAndre Hopkins episode, I guess if you want to call it that, how could you say that you don't have enough time? I thought that the positive drug test came back in like November of last year. So obviously his camp wasn't kept in the dark about it. The NFL probably talked about, hey, well, these are the possible repercussions. And there's obviously some kind of, breakdown of what kind of suspension comes from, positive drug tests in that kind of situation. So you can expect what might happen, but for you to not say that you didn't have enough time, I just think that's a joke. I think a lot of this has come down from what we're seeing with Deshaun Watson and his penalty that he's facing for all of the sexual misconduct allegations and whatnot. So it's the same thing, dude, that we're seeing with what happened with the Kyler Murray contract craziness and the addendum for the homework clause. And obviously this isn't to the same degree, but what I'm saying is one thing has come out, you chose to go down that route. Now something else is coming down that's kind of being contradictory to what your thought process was about it, where, for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, their camps were probably just like, okay, yeah, the homework clause, this is easy. This is something that is just kind of be part of his, weekly routine. Nobody will think twice about it. And then you get backlash. Well, DeAndre Hopkins is like, well, I got a drug suspension and I tested positive. I'm not going to fight it. But now this new information has come out from Deshaun Watson, and now he looks kind of crazy for not, trying to fight it because of the leniency, I guess you could say, from the NFLPA in regards to Deshaun Watson's, suspension timeframe isn't really what it would seem should line up for a drug suspension. So now he's backtracking. So we're just continuously backtracking. It's like, just stick to your guns, man. You did it. Like, go through your 6 games, like, man up, take it, and then go forward. Like, there, you look stupid, man. That's all the Cardinals have looked to begin this season. We're looking stupid. We're looking like we don't have our things together. And now we're starting to see more injuries come about. Chris Wesley just messed up his leg. I think it was either today or yesterday.
I'm
in a
glad you brought that
one-on-one
up.
drill.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown's getting arrested. I know we're gonna jump into that here shortly, but it's all the wrong things are happening right now for a first week of training camp. And I know that we've talked about this stuff in the past about no matter what, these little things will come out and be blown out of proportion, I guess, if you want to say that, just because of the nature of social media and how everything kind of comes to light no matter what. You can't hide anymore. But I don't know. I feel like in the past 5-6 years, it hasn't been this like crazy with just like suspension and then injury and now just craziness with the law. And now even a coach is getting in trouble. Like, oy vey, man. Like, we just got to get on the field and get some of that anger out and all that and start hitting people. I think that's the best course of action for this team. Because, man, these past 2 weeks, it's basically going back to the Kyler Murray extension. It just have not been good, and we haven't looked. We haven't been looking very pretty, I guess you could say.
No, yeah, and that's what I was bringing this up for, is that when you Google Arizona Cardinals, I don't know, like, I know YouTube is a little sketch about this stuff, so I didn't want to leave the DB on there, but you just see the first story is about this guy, beating his wife or whatever in May, and then you got Marquise Brown speeding on the freeway, all these 3 stories, and then we have to get Marcel Aitman, and that's the guy we just signed, right? Yeah, because Antoine Wesley got injured and is likely out for the season. So now there's a lot of questions and stuff is up in the air, and it's not good to have all that be what is coming out the gates. And not to beat a dead horse, but like you said, coming off the heels of that whole long drawn out shit with Kyler Murray's contract negotiations and how that took forever and how that was brutal, and it's just a bad look for the team overall. I get all the reasons why Kyler had to fight for his money, go for it, but just how it all just ends up looking and the timing of it all when training camp is supposed to be kicking off, when we're supposed to hear about overblown projections about how good guys are looking in training camp, because every year these guys look like the next, Tom Brady or Randy Moss in training camp, or Larry Fitzgerald. They're like, oh, this guy is the future. But I'm okay with those kinds of stories. You can blow smoke up my ass about how good the team is all day, but what I don't want to see is our team falling apart and being embarrassed on a national stage before we even play a single down in the regular season. But
oh yeah, it's just got to get on the field at this point, man. We got to have something else to talk about than all of the secondary nonsensical bullshit that's been going on. I did want to talk about Hollywood Brown a little bit, and what happened. It was yesterday, right?
I think it was yesterday morning.
He was arrested around 7 a.m. Driving on the 101, going about 126 miles per hour. Now, I was seeing some people on Twitter almost comparing it to the Henry Ruggs situation, where I don't think I can lean that far into it. I'm pretty sure Henry Ruggs was inebriated. He was going 156 miles per hour, and he killed a woman. So I'm not going that far into it. I'm just more surprised that, to be honest, anybody can be driving that fast on the 101 at 7 a.m. with traffic going on.
They did say he was in the HOV lane, I think.
Okay, but still,
yeah,
it can get gridlocked that early. I was asking Brie about it this morning, and she said, "No, there's not that much traffic that early." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, people are going to work at 8 a.m., so they're on the roads a little bit earlier." I know you're not out out here that early anymore because you're in the super East Valley now. But
Mhm.
I I got a little bit of a chuckle out of that. Obviously, it's not a good situation. Thankfully, nobody was injured and whatnot, but it's just another thing, an unnecessary item that the Cardinals have to deal with going into the start of preseason. And I mean, I know that you talked about possible suspensions coming down. I don't know. Have we ever seen anything like that for criminal speeding? It's driving a car. I mean, what would he get? Maybe 1 game? I don't know if he'd get suspended. I think it would just be maybe a fine, if anything, because
Yeah, I could see that.
it's not like drug related, or it's not like misconduct or sexual abuse, where that's where we see our preliminary, um, you know, penalties coming down and whatnot. But I could definitely see a fine coming from it. Um, but goodness, man. Oh, dude, and we forgot to
Yeah.
say Kyler. I'm pretty sure Kyler's out for the next 2 weeks at least because of COVID, because he has COVID.
Oh, that's right. They said, he would be reevaluated in, like, 5 days from when the announcement was, and I think that was the day we went, um,
Okay.
when we were out. But yeah, I think that it's not fair to compare it to the Henry Ruggs situation. Obviously, that is they didn't. And you can what if game about a whole bunch of things. I just wanted to show real quick here if I could pull it up. Um, oh, I didn't notice these until just now, but we got Jesse McCain in the chat. Or I'm sorry, McCain is my name. I shouldn't dog people that I know in the chat, but he says if I can pull it up, my dudes, we need Larry Legend back in the receiver room. There it is. No kidding. We need some
Oh my
leadership in
God,
the
yeah.
receiver room because these guys are tripping. And so now when we go and roll out to the Bengals next weekend or next Friday, I think it is, are we going to or be well? Okay, so I guess rewinding. I'm getting ahead of myself because I think you're right. I don't think he's going to get a suspension. I think maybe I was jumping the gun on that. A fine seemed more fair for something like that. Am I coming through okay? I feel like I'm kind of lagging on my end.
You lagged a couple of times, but you're doing okay. It just like will cut for a
Oh
second, but
no.
then you come back in. So I try not to say it every single time because then it just looks crazy. But I think you're all right. You're just doing too much over there, Chris. You're
Yeah, I
thinking
think
too much. Just let it fly, man.
this computer is just like my brain. It gets overworked and then it short circuits. It's trying to do too much at once and then it gets shorted out and it starts tripping. Oh, here I can close out Chrome. I think I can do that.
There you
Load
go.
that up.
Close some apps or something. But yeah,
Let's go
yo,
grab
that's got to
it.
be Jesse, right? Jesse, what up, man? Yo, bring back Larry. Absolutely.
Close.
I
I'm
saw him
like,
at the Y a couple of months ago, and he's
I
still in
think
football
so.
shape,
I think
man.
so.
That guy, he's a they call him legend for a reason. I mean, you probably have to stick him at slot receiver. He's going to be limited. He's getting up there, but I just have at the point where I feel really sad that we didn't get to give him a proper send off for arguably the best Arizona icon, sports wise, of all time. He just basically kind of like said, "Yep, no, I'm not retiring. I'm mulling it over. I'm mulling it over." And then now 3 years later, we're like, "You're retired, right, Larry?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, but I'm never officially going to be retired." But I don't know
Right.
if it's just in the receiver room right now. We got too much young blood and not enough, true leadership. Obviously, we want Kyler to be that kind of leader, but each room needs to have, somewhat of a veteran presence or somebody who steps up to be the leader of that unit, you know?
Yeah.
And right now with the wide receivers, who's like the oldest on our in that room? AJ Green. AJ
Yeah.
Green is still AJ Green is still fighting for his position in this league. and still, to be somewhat of a renowned name in, the top wide receivers in the league. So I think he has other things on his mind. And obviously natural leadership comes with age and being in the league and whatnot. So hopefully he can wrangle these young kids up, but it's time to lock it in. Time to lock it in, boys. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, they got to tighten up the ship. And I think that is the one benefit, though. I think, like you keep saying, we need to just see them get on the field and start playing football, because that is the one thing that can flip the narrative. Once the games start getting played, especially if they're winning, if they're competitive, then all of that goes away, and you can put it all behind you. And we've talked about how it's going to be a rocky ship at first. You got some guys out, some key pieces out, they're dropping like flies, but you still have a lot. You got Zach Ertz, you got pretty solid healthy defense that I think will be able to hold down the fort on that end. And now we got who's the center we just got back? My goodness.
Rodney Hudson.
Yeah, Rodney Hudson. Thank you. And I think I saw that one of the major outlets ranked him a top 10 or top 5 center in the league, something like that, somewhere in that range. So having that core piece, having Kyler secured, having James Conner coming back, we got, Hopkins out. Hollywood Brown has had it. He even had a tweaked like hammy or something. Hopefully that doesn't linger and he can be healthy week 1, because he's going to have to be the number 1 option for the first 6 weeks and solid and healthy, because we can't have to rely on Rondale Moore. And now I should have, if my computer wasn't tripping out and I wasn't doing too much, was going to pull up the roster, because off the top of my head, we signed that guy Aitman today, but I can't think of who is going to be the number 3 receiver behind Rondale Moore. Do you know?
Is it going to have to be Andy Isabella?
Oh yeah, we do still have that guy, don't we? I was a strong believer in Isabella when we drafted him, but mostly and naively because of the Madden video game. I think we had a conversation about this. They thought he was going to be the GOAT. Like he was like, naturally develop him through like 3-4 seasons to be over 90 overall and just like a speedster. Like you would think it was Wes Welker, and Julian Edelman had a baby and then was given steroids. Like that was Andy Isabella in Madden. I think it was, what would that be, Madden 20 or Madden 19? One of those.
Around there.
Regardless, I believed in the kid. And there was even like I talked about all the news that usually comes out during training camp, like, oh, this guy used to travel with a ball throwing machine. So he, whatever city he went to, he could just go to a park and have football started him. That's how hard he works, Kyler Murray completed 25 passes in a row today and threw 6 touchdowns in practice. Like, oh, he's looking really good. Those are the stories that normally heard. And that's what was being said about Andy Isabella, that ball throwing machine story specifically. And so everything was like, oh, this is a fast guy, kind of underrated. It's a steal in the draft. And so far, I don't know if it's lack of opportunity or lack of development, or just maybe he's not cut out for the league, but I haven't seen him be the guy that was sold to us in the draft.
No, he hasn't. Oh, I'll go back to the Madden thing. So I watch a lot of like Madden YouTube, and guys play it. I just think it's very entertaining. I don't play it very much myself, but I'll watch those kind of like fantasy draft leagues where people will draft, guys from any team to one team and kind of create a roster from there. And Andy Isabella was always, for probably like the past 2-3 years, like a top 2 or 3 round pick, because you could always develop his speed, and in Madden, speed kills. Yeah. And unfortunately for the guy, he just really hasn't panned out. And I don't know if it's been truly he's an undersized wide receiver, and the speed, he hasn't been able to create that breakaway true speed for being undersized, like a cheetah, like a Julian Edelman. Obviously, Julian Edelman wasn't a speedster, but he was really clinical in his route running and knew how to get off cuts early and quick to create space for himself. And it just hasn't translated. And obviously it sucks because it's always a crapshoot when it comes to the NFL draft. You don't know who you're really going to get unless you're picking like a first overall pick. Those guys always seem to pan out. Which is different from the NBA, right? You could pick in the top 5 and you really don't know if those guys are going to truly be game changers. But you know, who was the pick right after Andy Isabella? DJ or DK Metcalf. And DK
Yeah.
just got his big contract and has been kind of a force in the league. Now we'll see what happens with his quarterback room in Seattle and what he does next year. But would I have liked to have DK Metcalf over Andy Isabella? I think that's an easy answer.
Yeah.
Every day of the week that ends in Y. But you know, here it is. That opportunity has finally found itself for Andy Isabella. Now, not saying that he's going to be a top 2 receiver, but he should have all the opportunity to start this season to get in the mix, get on the field, get 50% of the share of the play shares, especially if Wesley is hurt for any kind of extended amount of time. Obviously, Hopkins is out for the first 6 weeks. And Marquise Brown, I mean, his hamstring, he's already been back out there, but hamstrings can be tricky. You just really don't know what you're going to get with them. It might be great today and then really stiff tomorrow. So he's going to have his opportunities, but this is basically his last shot. So I hope we can get something out of him to get our money's worth for that pick. So
yeah, that would be great. And like you're saying, this is definitely his shot. Maybe he's been waiting in the wings and he just hasn't, like I was kind of posing the question. I was wondering, is it for lack of opportunity? And so I think that could have something to do with it. Obviously we don't see what's happening in camp or in practice, but in his rookie year, he had 13 targets. Of those were 9 receptions for 189 yards and 1 touchdown. So that's 21 yards a reception. So he had some big plays, but overall, I mean, 13 targets in 15 games, not a lot of usage. But in his second year in 2020, he had 35 targets, but only caught 21 of those for 224 yards. So basically only 35. Yeah, that's exactly 35 more yards. So that was a 10.7 yard per reception average with 2 touchdowns. So a little more usage. I can't tell if that, I mean, off the top of my head, that looks okay to me, but I'm not referencing what those plays actually looked like. And then last year, he only played in 8 games and had 1 reception on 1 target for 13 yards. And it was not a touchdown. So they didn't use him at all last year. And that was even while Hopkins was out and AJ Green was struggling. And we basically were, and so Wesley came out of nowhere and jumped over him. So is there something where Cliff just doesn't see him in his system, or what is keeping Isabella from being the guy that was sold to us? So I think if he does get out there, it's not like we've never seen this before. We've seen players, whether it's a flash in the pan season, a Linsanity type thing, if you will. I know I don't know, that term might not translate to for football fans, but we could see a guy that has been in the league a while all of a sudden break out and either have sustained success or have, a couple of seasons of success. A Peyton Hillis, if you will. I know there's more to that story. If you don't know the Peyton Hillis story, it's kind of a strange one, but I would hate to get pleasantly optimistic about Andy Isabella's future again, and then just to be disappointed when he rolls out there and doesn't produce.
Yeah, I mean, he was drafted in the same draft as Kyler Murray, wasn't he?
I think so.
2019. So I don't think you can go and say that he wasn't a Cliff Kingsbury guy. I mean, that was when Cliff came in. So yeah, Cliff had to have a little bit of a say in it. But yeah, I mean, if you can't get on the field last year with the injuries that we were going through and not make a contribution at all, it might be tough. That it might be you get what you get, but I want to have faith to give him one last opportunity to see if he can really make an impact here, because we need somebody else. Obviously, we just need fillers at least to start the season, right? Because once D Hop gets back into the fold, then you can put him and Marquise Brown on the outsides. You can put Rondale Moore in the slot. You could start mixing in your tight end packages with Trey McBride and Zach Ertz, And there's going to be less opportunities for a fourth or fifth string receiver like an Andy Isabella or a Wesley. So this is the time, to start the season, the first 6 weeks. This is your last opportunity. So I hope he makes the best of it, because obviously he hasn't in the past couple of years, but fortune favors those who stick around long enough, I guess. So
yeah, and you make a good point. Obviously, if Cliff is the one who drafted him, which it looks like it is, then you would think that that's definitely a guy he felt was going to be in his system. And there's a reason he's making the 53-man roster every year. If they didn't think that Andy Isabella was of use to him, I don't think he'd be on the team anymore, because there probably would be another team out there that would at least give him some draft pick or something. Like if they truly thought it wasn't worth keeping Isabella. So there's something there. So, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm optimistic, but I want to see the kid get a chance. I want to see what he's got. Maybe as the number 2 receiver or even the number 3 slot guy. I don't know enough about him to say if he's an over the top kind of guy or a quick cut kind of guy. I think those are pretty much the 2 main types of receiver, but I mean, he's definitely not going to catch anything over top of your head. He's 5'9". So we really need D-Hop back. I think Kyler kind of relies on that too, because a short guy throwing to another short guy, maybe there's some challenges there too, where Kyler needs a bigger target, especially if he's trying to throw it over the line. So we shall see. But I'm excited to go to training camp on Saturday and see what type of content we can film. Maybe I'll have my shirt done by then. And hopefully the practice doesn't get cut early. Have you heard about multiple scuffles breaking out and Cliff getting a little upset about it?
Oh, yeah. I saw the one with DeAndre Hopkins and Isaiah Simmons the other day. I think Marco Wilson had made a nice play on the ball. Got a pick right over D-Hop while he was sliding out to the left side. And Marco Wilson kind of got up to celebrate, dropped the ball, and then Isaiah Simmons jokingly tossed the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, and it didn't seem like D-Hop was very thrilled about that. But Isaiah Simmons did come out and say that, him and D-Hop are really close friends. So it's more of that just competitive nature coming out. But yeah, that's part of training camp. I mean, guys are fighting for their lives, man. You have 90 plus players out there only fighting for 54 spots or 53 spots.
Yeah.
So, and guys are fighting for their livelihood. So they're putting it all on the line. I'm not surprised to see that. I did see, I think there was a New Orleans Saints offensive lineman, or was it Green Bay Packer? I think it was New Orleans Saints. It was a rookie offensive lineman who had started 3 straight scuffles for 3 straight days of practice, and they just kicked him out. They were just like, yeah, sorry, man, that's enough. So at least we're not seeing that. But we're seeing guys have been waiting to get back on the field, especially to get in pads and start hitting players. There's only so many times you can go through walkthroughs of plays or slight jogging, catching the ball and that kind of stuff. This is what these guys are built for, so that those competitive juices come flying out all at once. But if they cut the red white practice short, man, I'm gonna throw a bitch fit, man. You can best believe that.
Yeah, no, I'll be pissed, especially driving all the way out to Glendale. Like, they got to understand, like you said, I don't even know if I'm considered East Valley anymore, because when you look at a map, I'm like the Florida of the Valley if we were the country.
Right.
I mean that in more ways than one, and you have no idea. But yeah, I think it's natural for these guys to be competitive. If you listen to local sports radio, you got Ron Wolfley talking about the dog and the fight, and these guys they see every play as a lot of these guys see every play as dollar bills. So even in training camp, they're going to go out there and try and get there. So I get it, but I also get, like, Cliff Kingsbury, when he was asked about it, he said he's not a fan. At times it's hard to avoid, but I don't like wasting time or the reps. Sometimes you have to call off practice, and then the young guys at the end, they don't get their 2-minute reps. We've got to be more mature and handle the competition. So that's a good point. I agree with him 100%. You're not only wasting the reps that you get to have with your teammates, but a guy that is hungry and fighting for a spot on the team doesn't get to be seen, doesn't get his 2 minute of reps to, try and catch a few passes and impress the coaches and show that he deserves to be bumped up the depth chart. So hopefully, I think they're going to be able to tighten the ship, though. Zaven Collins didn't seem too worried about it. He said it's not fighting. It's just two guys. You've got pads on from here up. We're going to do – what are you going to do? So they're just bumping chests. They're just, blustering. So I think he's like Mike, you know how it is. And I'm sure Cliff knows this too. In the heat of the moment, in the heat of the game, you might bark at each other, you might bite each other a little bit, metaphorically speaking, but when it's all said and done and you step off the field, you're homies again and it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're all professional athletes. They know what they're here for, so they're going to make the right decisions at the end of the day. But I do kind of like to see some of that stuff because it really brings out the dog in everybody, right? Hey, I'm fighting for it. Are you going to step up to the plate or are you going to back down? So I'm okay with it. I also am very happy with the sentiments that Cliff Kingsbury said, starting to set a precedence for his team where they, the focuses that they need to really key in on and let them know that I understand, but to a point, we need to make sure that we're getting the work that needs to be done correctly in the amount of time that we have, because truly it's there and it's gone really fast. So, now with only 3 preseason games, that's less time that teams have to really corral in everybody, signify who's going to be where, create your game plans, and have everybody on the same page before the season starts. I mean, we're at a month away now, guys need to have that playbook dialed in. We need to start seeing what kind of gadget plays we're going to get Rondale Moore or Andy Isabella involved in. This is the time frame where that first week of training camp is used to fill out and feel out what you have as a unit, and then start making those decisions pretty early on, because I know guys are fighting for spots, but you're going to know who your core team is before you even have to make first cuts. So it's better to just get started on the work that really needs to be done earlier, sooner rather than later. So I like that you said something about Zaven Collins too. Bro has been getting torched in one-on-ones, man.
Has he?
Against running backs. Oh my goodness. Darrell Williams is taking him to school. James Conner is making him look like a fool. Oy vey. I mean, it's obviously everything just started, so I'm not going to read too much into it. But, as a inside linebacker, your primary one-on-one matchups are those running backs coming out of the flat. So he hasn't been looking too good, but let's get some game time action, and then we'll make the proper calls, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he's just one of those guys that kind of mails it in, especially at the beginning of training camp, doesn't take it too seriously. I don't like that, but as long as he can crank it up on game day, I'll live with it. So he'll be under the microscope when I'm out there on Saturday. I'm looking at you, Zaven Collins. And maybe that's also, it could be, if it's not that, he could be, that's why he's downplaying the fighting, because he's one of these guys out here getting frustrated that he's getting his, he's been made to look a fool, if you will. But, oh, I think Davey might be getting in here. Did he drop the StreamYard link to us? I don't know. But I wanted to bring up real quick, as far as preparations go, I was just noticing the preseason schedule, although shortened, like you said, and asterisks with the preseason, we have the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Titans. So those teams are good competition, and we'll at least see their starters for a few reps, even if it's Pro Bowl style offense or, gameplay, if you will. But that's going to be a good preparation, because if you remember, the first 3 games of the season are the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Rams. So hopefully they take that into account and actually, although like I said, they only play the first drive or the first quarter or whatever, they actually puts a little more mustard on it to try and get ready for the hits that they're going to take when they actually start playing these top tier teams. Because I mean, I would consider the Bengals and Ravens, pretty high tier. I don't know top tier, but let's find out what Delmo thinks about all of this. Bringing him on now.
What up? What's going on?
What's going on, man?
Man, you are just in time. We are squeezing the juice out of the Arizona Cardinals and all their nonsense and shenanigans. And so far, I would love to kind of rewind and we can talk about a little bit of it. But we got the foolishness of Hollywood Brown doing 126 and a 65. We got the foolishness of running back coaches getting 2 domestic violence charges. We got injuries to wide receivers. We got wide receiver signings. And we got fighting in practice. Mike, does that about cover the topics so far?
Yeah, that's a good start.
And we got training camp going on. So
I'll start with fighting in fighting in practice. I like to see some. There's Will Hernandez and JJ Watt, right? Is that who was in practice? They were fighting.
Maybe. I know there was a couple days. I think Cliff said that a couple days were shut down early in a row. So I know one of them we talked about was Isaiah Simmons and DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, and that turned out to be just like a brother pissing off another brother kind of thing. I know we experienced that this morning, today. That same kind of thing, Doug.
Matt's never welcome back on the stream. I'm just saying.
He's cut off.
Cut him off. He disagrees with me. How dare he?
No, yeah, I was reading Isaiah saying how Hop is one of his best friends on the team. So obviously the Clemson connection. I like the idea that Will Hernandez coming in and kind of bringing some toughness. I think J.J. Watt clearly is somebody that's going to go to bat with whoever. He's not afraid of nobody. Shit, I didn't even hear about the running back coaches.
Oh, you didn't get that?
No, I didn't even see it.
Here, I came out at like 5 o'clock this afternoon, so it's pretty recent.
Yeah, running back coach James Saxon, 2 counts of domestic violence from an incident in May.
And he's still on the that's great. He's still been on the team, even though.
Did they know about it since May? I mean, they said the incident was in May. Who knows?
They have to, right? These guys know everything. It's like a house of cards, man. How these NFL teams don't know about any or everything about everybody's employed for them. It's insane. Right.
When you have like $1 billion valuation, like you're literally a $1 billion company, if you will. Like they knew.
What was the take on the foolishness for Marquise Brown? What is it? How do we feel?
We feel like he should probably be fined, or he probably will be fined. I don't know if I think he should be fined. I don't like them taking people's money for stuff that's not related to football, but that's neither here nor there.
Especially if he didn't hurt anybody, you know what I mean? It's one thing there's a victim involved.
And Mike brought up
the way I look at it is, I mean, if you drive on the 101 at 7 o'clock in the morning, if you're going to 85, you're going slow. There's times I'm tailgating all the time. So the good news is he was sober and he was driving to practice. Not right. He could be driving home at 4 a.m. from club. It could be some Michael Floyd shit. I mean, the one thing I will say is that we had the same issue with Zaven last year. He got caught one time driving too fast, and then everybody made a big deal about it for a weekend. We never heard about it again because Zaven figured out, hey, when you get caught criminal speeding, everybody in the world is going to find out because he's playing the NFL.
Yeah, but AZ doesn't mess around with that shit either, too, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, was he running late to practice? Like, what was the time that he had to be at the facility? Are these guys just running late for practice because they live in the middle of like Scottsdale and Phoenix, and they have to drive?
Yeah, if he's living in fucking Scottsdale area, and I'm assuming they said he got pulled over at 7:08 a.m. I think is what I saw. It's stupid that they do training camp at the stadium anyways, I think. I hate Glendale so much, man. I wish that they could pick the stadium up and move it to Tempe because that's where it needs to be. Or drop it in the middle of Phoenix somewhere. It needs to be somewhere central, man. I love the Cardinals and I love football, man, but getting out to football games is such a hassle nowadays because of how far it is. I mean, you guys live fucking in the far East Valley too.
It's really far for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and shit, it feels like 3/4 of the fans that go to the games are coming from the East Valley. So the I-10 is massively packed, but yeah, I'm hoping it was just really just at the end of the day, a dude running late. He hasn't had any issues in the past, I don't think, from what I've seen.
He was just watching Top Gun Maverick the night before.
Yeah,
so
man, you got to go fast. I don't blame him.
He had
if
the
was
need
watching
for
that.
speed.
I do not blame him if he's watching that, man. That was.
I mean,
Well,
Davey, when it comes to the stadium being in Glendale, yeah, I would love it to be in Tempe. It'd be way easier for us, 10, 15 minutes to get there. But at the same time, I understand it gives something else for, those West Side dwellers who have to always come to Phoenix or come this way for any, professional sports. And if you're going to the game, it's normally you're making a day out of it, right? I'm going to go tailgate. So obviously I'm leaving early. I'm setting up. I'm having some drinks, watching the game. And then when I leave. I understand that it's a whole day kind of scenario, but
yeah, I think
I don't have kids either. So it's different for you,
It was just for the first time we had season tickets since I was a kid. Last I don't know, man. It just was it just got long, and maybe it was because everything was going well, and then we started going to games where we were losing, and I'm over it by then. And it could be that I'm kind of spoiled. I was spoiled with the Suns, man. But I feel like Glendale is still like it's a 25-minute drive to the arena. Just like it is kind of I'm in East Mesa, and it's a 20-minute drive to the arena for the Suns. So that's why I feel like Phoenix is so great. And like my big thing is it would be one thing if the city of Glendale was a city that kind of treated places like that equally, but we saw with the Coyotes, they just kind of told them kick rocks. And obviously it's the Coyotes. I mean, it's kind of hard to justify overpaying for a stadium or arena that they're not going to perform in and probably sell tickets in. I don't know. I haven't been to a Coyotes game since I was like 12 years old, but I've been to more concerts in that arena than I have in Coyotes games. That's for sure.
Than actual games, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I think maybe if I go to 1 or 2 games this year, I'll be good. We didn't renew our season tickets this year, so I'll definitely try to get to 1 or 2 and know that it's going to be a game or a day of things. It's way more fun that way, anyways. But yeah, I mean, with season tickets, you go to the preseason game, and if you go with the wrong people, they're like, "Well, we came to the game, we better stay." I'm like, "Well, we could stay and go to Buffalo Wild Wings and eat and drink for a lot cheaper and still be at Westgate." And we went to half the game. And yeah, this year they didn't want to do that. So then they wanted to go to Buffalo Wild Wings afterwards when I was ready to go home. So
of course.
But did you guys watch any of the game tonight?
Oh yeah, the Hall of Fame game was tonight, right?
Yeah.
Who was playing that? I did not see it.
It's the Raiders in Jacksonville.
No one Trevor played. Lawrence?
Yeah. No one played. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence didn't play. ETN didn't play. But I did see. I'm assuming since we're getting ready for fantasy football, we'll probably have some pods, just fantasy football focus. I think that'd be great. But I did see that ETN has been losing reps to James Robinson, which is how it should be because James Robinson's a fucking stud.
He's proven it the past 2 years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what's his name? Hated him for whatever reason.
Lawrence?
I mean, there's a reason Urban Meyer's not
Meyer
anymore.
Like after 7 games, he stopped giving the ball. Insane. I know so many people that say that James Robinson made their team like over the top the last 2 years.
Yep. I can say that.
Yeah, your team was stupid. Your team was dumb. you fucking.
Do you think it'd be too risky to live stream our draft?
Why?
Just the draft part. Okay, yeah, we can do just the draft part and not the shenanigans before and after.
Oh yeah, we could do set up a draft.
We could do the shenanigans of.
We can definitely set that up.
You don't want to do our celeb picks?
We just got to tell Tallman to be careful what he writes on his picks when he's making them. Yeah, no, I think we can definitely do the celeb picks. I got celeb picks for
nowadays.
Days.
If you're going to cover sports kind of professionally or do your best attempt, maybe not to use those type of names to describe players anymore.
Tallman, whatever. It needs to get with the times. Need to get with the times, my friend.
Nah, it's part of the character, dog.
yeah. So that character suits him well. But no, I think that we'll make that happen. I think we were looking at the end of this month. So be on the lookout. That'll be on a Saturday, most likely. But always a good time. We make it a whole. We have drafted live and in person for this league as long as I can remember. With these two guys here, Davey, I think your first year was last year, right?
No, I've been in the league now 3 or 4 years.
3 years? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I just had to draft from away.
Oh, that's right, because you took over Jack's team. I don't remember who I was thinking of. And then we're replacing Christian this year. So
yeah, I saw that.
I think Ryan said he'll take that spot over. So definitely excited for that. Content. What, Davey, did you think about one of the other topics we talked about? What did we talk about? So we did the DB, the practice, the scuffles, there was one more topic. The signings, the wide receiver situation. Antoine Wesley's injured, and now we are down another wide receiver and had to sign that guy.
I saw him. I didn't see the name. I saw
Marcel
him. You know what I'm more concerned about is the cornerback position, especially because it looks like Marco Wilson went down again today. So the good news is that extension that DJ Humphrey signed cleared up. We got like $17 million in cap, and I'm going to assume that one of those older cornerbacks that could still clearly play.
Joe Hayden? Did he sign anywhere yet?
Joe Hayden hasn't been picked up yet. What's the other guy's name? Fuck, there's a few of them. I saw a tweet about it the other day.
Well, let me pull up who the remaining free agents are.
Wide receiver, man, we're just going to have to tough it out. You know what? I did see that Andy Isabella apparently had a good day at camp today.
Ooh, that's good. We did talk about a lot about Andy Isabella.
I think it's time probably just let him run it out there, and worst thing that happens is he gets hurt and you cut him. If not, you trade him for a 5th pick sometime during the year if he performs. There's room. Man, Antoine Wesley is probably going to hurt more than we think, but because he was really playing well at the end of the year last year, but at the same time, he was really just filling a void that can't be filled. So,
he's a bigger bodied guy who could really go up and attack the ball. I mean, you don't see that as much from AJ Green as he used to be. So
I did see that people are saying he's pretty spry looking this offseason. That AJ Green took him like he's 25, not 35. I mean, I don't know about that, but we'll see. Let's see who's available. Chris Harris was another one I saw.
Is that Chris Harris Jr.?
Yeah. He's probably one. To be honest, why wouldn't you take a flyer on both of them? I mean, you're not. None of these guys are going to be getting $10 million a year, but we are getting close to prime time. So
I'd be bringing anyone into camp that I thought could help.
It's rough
right away,
man. It's rough. I'm looking at a top fucking corner or top wide or free agency list, and Russell Douglas being the top 10 pisses me.
You looking at? Is this correct? And it's saying that T.Y. Hilton is still a free agent.
I thought that he resigned.
Or did he
I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, that's who it was. AJ Bowie is another one I was thinking of. Kevin King is still available. All those older guys: Janoris Jenkins, Joe Hayden, Chris Harris,
Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah. Obviously, fucking Pat. Has Pat re-signed it with anybody yet? I think he only had a 1-year deal with the Vikings.
I think he did. I think I had seen that he re-signed with Minnesota.
So, Robert Alfred's probably somebody that's going to he's going to probably sign with us right before the season starts. Maybe trying to avoid camp at all costs because he seems to get injured in camp.
Your guys' favorite cornerback of all time, Richard Sherman, is a free agent.
Yeah, it sounds like he is very comfortable in retirement, though.
Yeah, I think he should retire.
Yeah. Fucking, I was looking at him and God, what's the guy's Jalen Ramsey talk about when he posted that tweet about who's done what he's done, and Sherman and Pat had done it in like a year's less time than he had done it. And really? He didn't expect that to happen. And Sherman's like, well, me and Pat did. So, and he's like, you know what I mean. He's like, you old heads.
Of course.
The only thing you had over Pat is a title, and you had to be traded to do that. I mean, and yeah, the wide receiver position is getting pretty lackluster for us. I did see it was Robert Griffin III today mentioned that he thinks that it will be good for the wide receiver room and for the Cardinals in general that DeAndre's going to miss the first 6 games because we're going to have to adjust, and then we get some massive firepower. It's like almost acquiring him at the deadline if he comes in at 7, in game 7. But
especially being perfectly healthy, not coming off of an injury. I've heard that he's looked ready in practice.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's especially trying to be ready. Did Will Fuller resign?
I think that's another name I might have seen on that list.
With Miami?
I didn't think that he resigned with anybody. On this list I'm looking at, I don't see it.
I think Will Fuller wouldn't be too bad. I saw it's sad seeing and realizing some of these guys are kind of aging out because I see Emmanuel Sanders and I'm like,
35.
Steeler. I love that
insane.
guy.
Yeah, he's 35.
And especially you were naming off those guys in the cornerback position. That's another position where once they get up there, you don't want the older cornerback.
Well, and what sucks is cornerback position, it's wide receivers 35, cornerback position just 31. That's right. 31 is when you hit that. You're like, oh damn, Robert Alford's old. He's only 33. I thought he was 38.
Right.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, I mean Sanders. There's not a ton left for wide receivers. Everybody went and got somebody. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
It sucks.
What about OBJ?
That's it. Well, I'm gonna assume now, especially now that our wide receivers coach's kid tore his ACL. I think he tore his ACL. Is it at the Rams wide receiver? Quick dude. Vance Jefferson.
Oh yeah. Van Jefferson?
Van Jefferson, right? Is that it? Yeah. Van Jefferson, I think he tore his ACL, possibly.
Oh, that's tough.
So that just opens up. Yeah, knee surgery. He went undergo knee surgery. It's a knee tweak, though. So I don't know, man. I've always expected, because OBJ is in LA and he's he's an LA guy, just personality-wise, that's where he'll just end up right back. But that could be with the Chargers too, depending on how well they play. I wouldn't be surprised if he looks at the Raiders too if they play well. Because him and Devontae Adams would be nuts. But yeah, on this list here, he's the 5th best wide receiver, and I agree. I mean, he's a stud. Man, I hope so. I'd love for them to kick the tires. But then that wide receiver room would get too cramped after Hopkins comes back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wesley's a good 4th receiver, I think. I think Wesley's a perfect 4th receiver. That's all you're asking him to be. Well, 5th receiver because Rondale's the 4th receiver.
Right, and you're going to be having, those tight ends in the mix too with Zach Ertz and Trey McBride. Both of them are good catch passers. So, there's only there's only one ball. It can only go around so much.
Well, and you can expect there to be quite a bit more targets towards Hollywood just because of Kyler being comfortable with him. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're all over the place with him having him line up all over the field. I saw the Chiefs are having that rookie wide receiver that everybody's really high on, that they said was a steal for the Chiefs, already lining up in the backfield like Debo. Great, man.
Give him a year or two, and then he'll be pissed off the same way that Debo was.
Did you see Debo's contract? How they added like $365,000 a year worth of rushing incentives? on this new contract? Yeah, they added rushing incentives, so he's getting paid extra for that shit. And I think that's kind of was the point, because he doesn't want to. He knows that if he's running the ball more, he's wearing down his career double time, and he does run the ball way too much for him.
Do you think that we'll see, especially within those first 6 weeks, like just Kyler force feeding Hollywood the ball, like 15 to 18 targets a game minimum? Do you think we'll see that?
It depends on how much Cliff wants to throw the ball. You know what I mean? Because I think he will force feed the ball to Zach Ertz. He seemed to really target Zach Ertz last year as soon as we got him. He really liked Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz is really high on Kyler too. So I know after all that bullshit came out, Zach Ertz was the first one to be like, "This is fucking ridiculous."
Right.
I can appreciate that too. I don't know if you guys have talked about it, but him coming out and doing that small little press conference to kind of come out and say, "Hey, like, what kind of player would I be if I didn't study? Like, I can't. There's
Come on, guys.
The fact that you guys think that I could be the type of player I am without studying, like it's silly, but it's also, and that's what me and my brother said as soon as we heard about it. Like, if that's the case, could you imagine if there just needs to be a little bit more study time? I'm sure now. I know if it fucking Burrow and what's his wide receiver's name again? I'm just blanking on his name. The guy that got drafted last year, his best friend.
Lawrence. Oh, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, so they live next to each other. Like, Jamar Chase tried to buy his neighbor's house, and the neighbor, like, he knocked on the neighbor's door and said, "Hey, can I buy your house?" And the neighbor said no, but like a house 3 or 4 doors down was for sale. So they ended up living close together. I wouldn't be surprised if Hollywood's actually just living with Kyler. I also,
at this point,
Kyler, I'd like to see Kyler do like what Book did after he signed his contract. Find a house, buy a house. You want to see it in AZ Central. You want to see them say, "Oh, Kyler Murray's purchased a home in," because I know, as far as I know, I think he was staying in a condo out here the last 4 years. So
yeah,
that'll show some leadership and some stuff involving the valley.
Yeah, show his dog running around in the backyard.
And
all that good stuff.
Fuck yeah!
Actually, trying to plant roots. Yeah,
it's important. I don't, and I know I get why people always give him a hard time for going back to Texas, but at the same time, that's where he trained to be the football player he is now, and that's what he kept doing out there. He had a whole fucking team out there training his ass.
There's a lot of Texas pride too, especially in football. Like, you breed them out there. Yeah, if they say that Kyler Murray is the best Texas high school football player of all time, and that I'm really glad he came out and said something, because he's not the type of guy to say something, and for him to have to sucks, but for the fact that he did is even better. I'm glad you brought it up, because we did talk about it a little bit, and I think when it first came out, it's just not a good look. It's like, if you think that's a problem, like, talk about it, but to go as far as to put it in a contract and have so many people look at it, the agent, the coach, the parents, and everyone agree to sign off on that.
I didn't realize that they had sent Cliff and Kym out to meet his parents in Texas and something like that. From what I was told, my dad said. I don't listen to Arizona sports anymore, radio.
I really don't either, not that much.
I don't listen to any of the guys. I struggle with listening to Dan Bickley in the morning, because I've been really following golf a lot lately, and he's a fucking Homer PGA Tour guy who's beating on these dudes in the LIV for trying to make a living for themselves outside of the PGA Tour.
Thank you, Davey. I'm glad you said that. I agree totally.
Mind you, I like the PGA Tour better, because wherever Tiger goes is where I'd go.
Yeah,
as far as and Rory, it's been hard. The way that Arizona sports broadcasters and stuff and follow and like treat the players is weird for me, kind of. Yeah. Even Gambo's, it's getting old listening to Gambo act like he's the dude that's breaking news all the time.
Yeah,
and
the number one insider. Yeah.
And all his
Flex
Phoenix
now.
Suns news, his Phoenix Suns fucking news is because his fist is up Sarver's ass. It's like, what are you going to do if Sarver ends up selling? Who's going to be your insider now?
And that's what I wonder with them is, like, especially with how much of a strong partnership they have with the Arizona Cardinals, do they kind of, rein it in a little bit with how they truly feel and with how they present some of their stuff? I felt like that, especially like throughout training camp when we're having all this fluff blown up our ass. I mean, I know that's only natural, and especially during a slow news cycle, there's only so much to talk about. So you're going to jump on a story about a good day at training camp and, make an hour segment about it. But I think that's why Valley Sports Plug is here. We're trying to fill that void where people like you, people like me, we're not as interested in listening to the same droning lines in and out, especially with 3 shows. I know it's the same with us. Like you can listen to 3 shows on the radio talking about all the same topics, but then they're kind of presenting it in the same way each time. Whereas us, I feel like try to bring a different perspective. We're a little bit more irreverent. We can swear, spice it up a little bit, have some visuals, and bring it into the modern age with this internet forum. But
I think you're right. I think that it seems like especially Cardinals, and you can see like Wolf reins it in when it comes to talking about Kyler. It always sounds like he wants to say so much more about Kyler, and he's always one that I remember the day Kyler signed his contract. They had open lines. I was listening that day. My dad and I were on our way to a job site and we were listening, and the first fucking 5 callers all were like, does he really? I'm worried about it. He's getting paid all this money. Is he going to perform? I mean, if Kyler does exactly what he's been doing, then, and the coaching changes based, because if Kyler does what he's doing and the coaching is supposed to meet the expectations of their contract and the general manager, because they got their 6-year extensions, then we should be in good shape. It's hard to match a really aggressive general manager like is Les Need over there or in LA. The guy that says fuck them picks and trades all the picks.
Yeah.
It's hard to match a manager like that because there's not a lot of dudes in the NFL that do that. But I don't know, man. I really hope we see some good stuff this year, but it's kind of hard to think that we're going to be anything more than a 9 or 10 win team.
Yeah. Well, just one more thing on the 98-7 thing, because I don't want to just rail on him and bash on him. But my last thing I just thought about was, and for all my criticisms of Doug Franz, maybe that's part of the reason why he kind of stepped out. I know he does have a podcast now. I'll admit I haven't listened to it yet, but I think that's also similar to Valley Sports Plug. He's uncensored, and he just wants to say whatever he's wanted. So maybe he didn't like it was mutual. I'm not saying it was a mutual thing. It seems like they kind of dropped his ass. But
I'll say this on the record, and I'll take this will be. You can either say this is not from VSP or not. I think Doug Franz is one of the stupidest motherfuckers on this planet.
Yeah,
seriously, dude.
Like I said, all my criticisms of Doug Franz.
That fucking tweet from that Clippers game, in that he tweeted about the arena in Game 5.
What was the tweet? About the energy or something?
About the energy of the fucking crowd. Like, there's no fucking way you can blame the crowd. I was fucking there. I was at every home game that we played against the Clippers. There's no fucking way you blame the fucking crowd. Where were you? Oh, at home on your fucking couch? You don't even get invited to the games because you're such a fucking asshole. That's fucking can't. He's a negative about everything. It's I think that Bickley is like I like Vinny. I really like Vinny. I like that Vinny really loves.
I think that's my favorite show. Yeah.
Bickley is such a fucking holier than thou. Fucking, he thinks that his shit doesn't stink when it comes to anything because he was a big writer in the East Coast before.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been to all the Super Bowls. Yeah, he always is the one that gets sent to the Super Bowls and stuff like that for us. But Yeah, he's like the old man, get off my lawn type of guy. Gambo, have you seen what Son's Twitter does to Gambo?
No.
Oh man, they tear him up about his like wife, how she's like 20 years younger than him, and he's blocked everybody, dude. So now 1 or 2 people that still follow him that are or that still like have him available will screenshot his tweets and tweet them for everybody in Son's Twitter because he's blocked so many people in Son's Twitter.
Oh man,
a lot of those guys that were doing like the chugging with the fellas last year, they're all blocked from him because they talk shit about him all the time. It's kind of funny. I've met Gambo in real life. He's cool. He's nice. He stopped and took a picture with me and talked to me for a few minutes. We went to one of those like the Diamondbacks where you go to Salt River Fields and you get to meet the players and do all the baseball stuff with the kids. And we got to meet him. But yeah, it's I don't know. I try and keep up as much as I can, but Twitter's been basically how I keep up with my sports nowadays.
Yeah,
and with you guys, obviously.
Got to keep up with Valley Sports Plug. That's the best.
You guys are the only reason I keep up with baseball. You guys are literally our group chat with Ian and everybody, and it's the only reason I keep up with baseball a little bit. Because like I said, I mean, we saw today, by the way, rest in peace, Mike Hazen's wife.
Oh yeah,
passed away.
Long battle with cancer. That's really sad.
Yeah, 2 years of it. Fucking brain cancer.
Only 45 years old too.
I didn't.
Gone
Yeah.
way too soon.
Well, and I really like Mike Hazen. My big issue was when the owner came out and said that the MLB was making a mistake for pulling the All-Star game out of Georgia because all that racist shit that was going on, bullshit. And I think all he sounds like is a rich fucking white dude. So it kind of pissed me off, and that's when I kind of stopped following him because, like, you know, I'm sure Sarver also loves those type of places, but he doesn't say it out loud, so I don't have to worry about it. Same with Bidwell. Like, you know, damn well Bidwell probably fucking had Kerry Lake was running, help Kerry Lake run or something like that. It's just kind of people that own these type of places.
One halfway reasonable point that I've heard to play devil's advocate on why it was bad to pull it out of Georgia or why it's bad for them to back out of any of these places is that you're just hurting those local markets where harmless people live that might not be, usually most municipalities are 50-50, and especially in major cities.
Yeah, but those money that you're making, that city's making, is going right into whatever the politicians have planned. And
that's a good point. That's fair.
What I mean? Because they can say, oh, this obviously Super Bowl coming. I don't think the All-Star game per se in a smaller place makes as much money as it would in, like, let's say it did in LA this year. Yeah. Because celebrities don't go to the All-Star game right now. Baseball's not like the actual All-Star game. The home run derby, I know that's kind of where but I mean, you see fucking at the NBA Rising, the game, there's fucking celebrities all over and stuff like that. So I don't know, and you can say the NBA is woke, whatever, but I mean it's a league full of minorities, and to be honest, MLB is almost a league full of minorities at this point. The best players in the world in the MLB are not white dudes anymore, and it rubs some people the wrong way, man. That trade the Padres pulled off this last week was pretty impressive. They kind of fleeced Washington on it, but at the same time, if you're Washington, what the fuck are you going to do? He doesn't want to play for you.
Right. Yeah, they had to move on from him, and exactly. I don't blame him for not wanting to sign long term there either. But I did want to loop back real quick because we were talking about Twitter and Dave Franz shitty tweets and getting sports news on Twitter. Did you guys see a couple days ago Jay Crowder tweeted in all caps, "Change is inevitable, growth is optional. Believe it's time for a change. I want to continue growth!" ! To be fair, it looks like he tweets everything in all caps, so not going to hold that against him. But Mike, is Jay Crowder requesting a trade here?
Hey, at least it's a little bit more in depth than Eric Bledsoe just saying he doesn't want to be here. So he's a guy who, hey, he had his time. He's a journeyman. He's really been around the league already, so he probably has seen his comings and goings from, his different times and different stops. So I can only imagine all the stirrings from the Kevin Durant trade and his name being involved, and not as much as guys like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, but I don't know if he just kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel with this unit and is ready to move on. I mean, I'd love to keep Jay. He's been a key component to the starting lineup, to this team. He knows his role. He does his thing and fits in well. But, if that's how he feels, I think as the Suns organization, not that you owe anything to anybody, but he's been a consummate professional and has, helped this team get to heights that we haven't seen in the past, 15, 20 years, it seems like. So hopefully we can find a good spot for him if he does want to go on. But I'm still holding out for Kevin Durant, man. So if he's involved in that, just wait a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer.
It's like every day, just real quick with the KD thing, it's like every day. It's
Kevin
like
Durant is coming to Phoenix, man. I don't give a fuck what you say.
Every time when a little bit of hope is like, oh, we're like, oh, nope, it's out the window. The next day they're like, but wait, LeBron James doesn't sign his contract until August 5th. And then they're waiting for him to sign his contract because then they can know if they need to get Kyrie and all these moving parts. And they're like Charlie from Always Sunny with the wires connecting all the pictures.
But I didn't know that LeBron doesn't sign his contract until the 5th. Is it
something like that? It was either today or tomorrow.
Some type of extension.
That. Or when he's eligible to sign it. I don't think he's actually said when he's going to sign it yet. He'll probably do it like he did a few years ago, like walking on a plane with a glass of wine in his hand, like, yeah, I'm signing a contract. and then he's just on the plane. But I don't know. Davey, what are your opinions on Jay Crowder, either overall or with him kind of maybe potentially requesting a trade out?
Oh, I like it. I love what Jay Crowder brought to the team. Just like Mike said, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. Everybody argued Cam should have started at some point or another last year, but to be honest, I don't think that Cam he doesn't have the legs to be a starter yet. I don't know what it is about him. It seems like if he gets run out there longer than 28 minutes, he starts to kind of wear off. Unless he's on fire, those shots start not falling. I will say I don't think that the Kevin Durant thing was anything about it. I think that he maybe was wanting out even before we had kind of heard about that. I think he had tweeted a few things like probably 2 or 3 days before free agency started, some eyeballs or devil's eye with eyes pointed out and stuff like that. And Jay likes to do that. He's kind of
always the cryptics.
But yeah, he is a journeyman. And the cool thing about Jay is that wherever he goes, they win. And he knows exactly his role. I mean, in Cleveland they were winning. He was with LeBron. In Boston, they were winning. Fucking Miami, they were winning.
Was he in Denver for a period of time, or am I making that up?
Dallas?
Dallas
and Utah. Dallas, and then he played for Utah as well, I believe. I think the cool thing is that James Jones set. Like when I first heard that contract for Jay Crowder, I'm like, oh, really? $30 million over 3 years? But at the same time, if you think about these contracts that James Jones has set up, Landry Shamet, $10 million a year, really team friendly. Jay Crowder, $10 million a year, easy to pay off, easy to buy out at the halfway point of the season.
Yeah.
And if anything, you let Cam play. You hope to God that his value goes up. You let him get in it. Brooklyn has to eventually. I know that I think I saw,
say it, Davey.
I saw Kevin Durant.
Say the line, Davey.
You let him. You let him start, average 14 a game, and then you ship his ass to Brooklyn for Kevin Durant before the trade deadline, and we still get the motherfucker. There we go.
Yeah, you let KD do his thing. You watch them fall apart because Kevin and Kyrie, even though they like to say that they're friends, don't work together on the fucking basketball court. I don't think that they do. I think that they are just two extreme talents that fucking God, it would be awful though if Kyrie does end up in LA. would be so annoying.
That would be
no thanks.
Because he wins. Kyrie wins if he ends up in LA. He like
him and LeBron know how to do it together.
They'll find it out. Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Like,
and especially if Anthony Davis can stay
like he
healthy.
wins the battle. You know what I mean? He wins the war when it comes to COVID vaccines or not showing up to practices because he's going to his sister's birthday party at the club instead, or taking a week off the team. Yeah, taking a week off the team because his niece's birthday party is in Chicago, 3 hours away, and he's got to take a whole week off for it. And his whole he thinks he's an Indian, but he's not. And
the Earth is flat.
Mm-hmm. That too. Well, we can leave but sounds like an idiot before you even look into the fact that he's also a flat earther. That Brooklyn team, I don't know, man. I probably would have. Was it Brooklyn or was it Boston that offered Jaylen Brown? The Suns can't beat any deal that has Jaylen Brown in it. It doesn't matter if it's just Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I think Boston offered Jaylen
over. I would take Jaylen Brown over Cam and Michael in this minute.
Mm-hmm.
If you told me that I could have Jaylen Brown on our team instead of Michael and Cam, the Suns would win the championship. Because Jaylen Brown can do. Jaylen Brown can do what Michael can, scoring, and Jaylen Brown still is a way above average defender. I think I argued with the Celtics fan for a fucking month about this. Their whole team, Jaylen Brown, I will say, I think he's not as high a defender as he's rated, but they're all surrounded. The argument was that Book's not a good defender. I'm like, oh, that's funny because he was rated the #1 defensive shooting guard in the league last year. So explain that to me. Oh, defensive stats don't work like that. But when it came to comparing Jaylen Brown offensively to Devin, those counted.
Yeah.
The advanced stats offensively count, but not defensively. Only if they supported Jaylen. But that team is 6 or 7 dudes that are fucking basically all pro defensive players. Their worst defensive player on their starting lineup is Al Horford, who still is above average defender. Can defend both the paint and can defend the 3-point line. Man, I hope if we trade Jay, it's for something that's usable. You know what I mean? James Jones, like I think you guys tweeted that thing yesterday with Dwayne Washington. James Jones is playing chess always, so he knows what he's looking for. This is a long-term thing. Monty's here for the long haul. Devin's here for another 10 years. Oh, yeah, Chris is getting older, but there's going to be you're seeing now that people don't want to play with Chris. They want to play with Devin. So you're in good shape as far as these superstar sweepstakes go. You hold out one more year, maybe one of those 2 forwards who would perfectly fit. There's 3 players I say that if the Suns could get, they'd immediately be favorites always and would win the championship. And it's Kevin, and then it's Kawhi, and then it's Paul George. Those are the 3 players that fit the exact prototype that the Suns need. And there's only 3 of them in the league. So I can't.
That would be nuts if we got Kawhi.
But I do know that the Clippers, there's been talks of them looking to kind of blow things up a little bit if things don't work out this year. And there's a chance they might not. But at the same time, they also all get injured. So, KD included. So,
yeah, I feel like this would be the last option for Kawhi. Like, if he isn't on the floor 70% of the season, then I would cut bait from him. He's only getting older, and he can never stay healthy. And I'm not about just keeping him out until the playoffs because, Kawhi went on that crazy run and has won multiple titles. I understand, but he's only getting older. And if I can't have my unit getting properly cohesive minutes with him to grow, like I can't waste any more time and effort, you know? Like I would just start backing Paul George because he's a guy who's actually on the floor.
Yeah, he carried that team, the whole Clippers team, while Kawhi was out. And
I mean, him and Reggie Jackson got them to the Western Conference Finals against us 2 years ago, you know?
Yeah, that's damn impressive.
even had me worried for a little bit.
A little bit.
I didn't think. I think that if he hadn't missed those 2 free throws, that Paul George might have been able to carry him through a series.
Yeah, their big man was playing out of his mind and giving DeAndre problems. Yeah.
Oh, you can't believe it. Somebody's giving DeAndre problems when he comes to actually defending. Don't talk to me about that shit. Defensive anchor my ass.
Right. I think I agree with you guys on Jay Crowder. Like, I do like Jay. He did a lot of good for us. You can't knock all the good he did for us, especially through that 2021 run. But this year in the playoffs, he was a bit streaky. He does have a tendency to miss a lot of 3-pointers, but he makes up for it on the other end more often than not. I think Mike, you guys kind of nailed it. I would like to see him roll out Cam, and maybe that's what happened. Maybe they went and in the meetings or pulled him aside, whatever, and said, "Hey, we're going to start Cam. We want you to come off the bench." And so he left practice like, "Nah, fuck that. I don't come off the bench. I start games."
Well, and that's the thing is, I don't think he starts for any of the teams that are competing. Like,
no,
he's not.
If he goes to Miami, no. If he goes to Dallas, no. Those are two the places that they're saying he might go.
Here's the thing is, he doesn't shoot the 3 as consistently as PJ does in that corner. And that's all Miami asked PJ to do is sit in that corner and shoot the 3 like that.
Yeah.
Dallas, he probably would start because that team is kind of goofy. And it sounds like they're starting Christian Wood off the bench and letting Powell start still. Just fucking insane to me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. Yeah, it's stupid, man. I really would like to see the Suns take it a little bit easy in the regular season. Run out 12 dudes in the regular season. Miss 10 games less. I don't care if you lose 10 games less and you end up a 3 seed.
Yeah.
Let these guys fucking chill out. Because I think that Chris overdid it. Even having the 15 games off, he was fucking trying really hard to get back sooner. So he was overdoing it still while he was injured because he just had a hand injury. So it's not like he was really. And then, yeah, I mean, God, we really need another ball handler, though. If we could just get a above average backup point guard, man. I did see something about Cam Payne and how he plays really well with Dario. And the reason why is because Dario is an intelligent passing big man. So Cam knows that if he has to, and he's in too deep, which he always is, he's always in too deep, he just can dump the ball off to Dario and let Dario make the decisions that a point guard would make. And that's what Dario's always done. So I'm looking forward to that. I like Dario a lot. I think that he's fun. And he also is an easy contract to trade again at the deadline. So we can literally make up Kevin Durant's salary with I can't even say his name. God damn it.
Ooh.
The dude that looks like Trae Young but uglier.
Landry Shamet.
Landry Shamet.
Uglier?
Yeah.
Uglier.
Yeah, how do you get uglier than Trae Young?
I don't know. Because Trae Young can play basketball really well. So
his game is pretty.
He's more attractive to me.
Yeah,
he's more attractive to me because he's better at basketball.
Points or some shit.
Yeah, easy.
Ladies, tell us in the comments if Trae Young's ability makes him cuter.
Jesus, Landry, Jay, and Dario right there make up $32 million worth of salary. And then obviously we do get this year, because we stayed under the luxury tax, it sounds like teams that do that and then don't use their whole mid-level exception get like a bonus of money to spend. And we get probably, I think, 11 or 12 million more to spend. I'm assuming
we're going to be over the cap though this year, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter till the end of the year.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You if you're over the luxury tax at the end of the year is when it matters, and that's when we would be. That's the plan. But who knows who else could be available at deadline? I know somebody that should be and better be, who's Kevin Durant. He should be playing for the Suns. But dude, I can't. There's no way in hell that a dude like Kevin Durant doesn't get to go exactly where he wants to. But at the same time, they did it. The Spurs did it to Kawhi, but Brooklyn doesn't have Greg Popovich to say, "Oh yeah, we'll be fine without him. Send him wherever the fuck."
I also don't think Kawhi ever had a strong enough personality to really like hold the line like a Kevin Durant will.
Well, and where did
what I mean?
Where did Kawhi really want to go? LA.
Yeah, I think that's he either wanted to go to the Lakers or the Clippers.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to go to LA and wanted to go back home.
the Spurs did what they were supposed to. You trade the star player to another conference so you don't have to fucking deal with them. And that's what Brooklyn should do. The fact that they're even entertaining the idea of letting Kevin Durant go to fucking Boston, so Boston beats the shit out of you for the next 10 years, is insane to me.
Yeah.
Kevin will play another 6 or 7 years just because he's a freak about basketball. Even if he doesn't do it well, guess who's going to come play? All types of people, because Kevin's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. He's got the boardroom running. I mean, this is a guy that, when it comes to basketball, people that are also freaks about basketball want to be around, and that's what we're also seeing with Kevin or with Devin, and that's why
that's why he wants to be with Devin. Yeah,
and Kevin Durant said on the record when he was even still with OKC, I think, how much he loves Scottsdale. So fucking, and he's single. The only person he probably goes out with is his mom. So you know what I mean? He's a big fan of his mom.
It's a match made in heaven. He can bring his mom out to Phoenix too.
My thing with the Jay Crowder tweet was the only thing that I didn't understand about it is the growth. There's nowhere else to grow. You have maximized what you can bring to the NBA as far as what you do.
Just the championship. That's the only growth he's thinking about. Yeah.
But he won one, right? He's won 1 or 2, right?
I don't know.
I thought for sure you played for Cleveland. Team. I thought you played for Cleveland. When they
I think that was one of the years where
or the year after they lost or they won. It might have been the year after they won. Well, I can tell you this much: if you sign in with Dallas, you're not winning the fucking NBA championship.
Yeah, he hasn't won. No rings.
The only thing that gets a little bit nerve-wracking about if you keep waiting until the deadline is the fact that Miami obviously can feel the need more to trade Bam. I'm really hoping DA just decides he wants to be a star player and plays well for the Suns, because if he does, then I mean, we already had the best roster in the NBA last year, give or take. The cool thing is, it looks like Draymond Green really is going to fuck up the Warriors by all the shit he's talking.
Hell yeah, let's go!
Finally,
not that matters really, because as long as you have Steph Curry, you're probably I shouldn't say that because. I want the Suns to re-sign Aaron Baines and just have him sit underneath Steph Curry for a year, every game, like he did when he fucking broke Steph Curry's hand. That it's his fault that they're probably as well or as good as they are, because they ended up with those pretty above-average rookies. Even though I think that Kuminga guy is be that good.
That's such bullshit. You have Clay and Steph sit out for one season, become the worst team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Get Wiseman and have Wiggins, and then the next year come back and like, oh, we're healthy, we're here.
And Wiseman didn't even play last year,
and he's going to fall out. He's going to get traded this year probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded for I don't know who, but he sucks.
I mean, he sucks. I think the last sentiment I'll say on this is I appreciated Jay Crowder. I appreciated what he did.
Boss Man 99.
Telling one of my favorite things was when New Orleans all made those shirts basically saying "fuck Jay Crowder."
That was fucking incredible.
He got your back.
Sold some with his signatures on it.
So
really,
awesome. Yeah. He because he has his own merch store, which is he gets made fun of on Twitter for that all the time. People are like, "You're Jay Crowder. You have your own fucking merch store? Who are you?" But there are a few Suns fans who get a lot of his merch. But yeah, that day he did like a limited run of like 500 shirts and signed them all, and they all sold out the day after we won that series.
Yeah, I think the one thing though that I'm not going to miss is how I understand on the basketball floor you have to have a certain sense of unconsciousness, but the amount of times he would just throw it up and just be completely off, and it seemed like it was consistent where he was shooting 1 of 7. Like, I'm not going to miss that about him.
The Dallas series.
I'm not going to miss that.
Exactly. That Dallas series is going to haunt me, and Jay Crowder just building houses.
It's great.
And the Pelicans series.
He filled in for what this team needed. He got them to the next level. That's great. Let's see if we can get some pieces to come back from him. But I'm not going to miss it for 8 from 3. And literally not trying anything else. Not trying to go off the dribble. Not trying to drive. I think I saw 2 floaters from Jay Crowder in the 2 years that he played for us. He literally only shot 3-pointers. I already have that with Landry Shamet. I only need one guy who literally does nothing but shoot threes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need 4 guys who only shoot threes. I understand the game is expanded out that way, but I need guys who could do multiple things. And at least Cam Johnson has shown that he could do a little bit.
Yeah, and Jay plays the defense, but you can only see I think that the Suns need to get away from that bulldog mentality that Jay brings to the team, because that's kind of what gives Devin a bad look sometimes.
Yeah, makes him the villain.
And Devin's okay with that. He's been okay with that. He tweeted today something about 2012. They were chanting overrated.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've been doing this that long already. That was in fucking Kentucky. He was fucking coming off the bench, man. And he came off the bench and went 13 overall.
Yep.
There's nothing overrated about that.
And then Cam Johnson, he just has to be able to take a shoulder and not be out for 8 weeks, you know?
Yeah, that was a little wild how that happened, and I think that really screwed him as far as development in the playoffs.
Yeah,
but at the same time, yeah, it's rhythm. I wouldn't say development, because we can't talk about development with him. Dude's already 26 years old. He's ready now. Mm-hmm. It's time to get that going. You got to see what you got in him for this next 3 months or 4 months, anyways, because you have his contract coming up, and it's not one that you really want to sign. You would have, for me, I would have rather they had signed him this offseason, and really, because Mikhail kind of did the same thing. He kind of disappeared in the finals, and he lost money because of that, and that's why he got that 4-year, $80 million deal. Because before that, everybody were like, "Oh, holy shit, man! We may have another max player already in Mikhail just because." But then he fell off offensively, and that's fucking. We need to play Cam as much as possible. Either way, if we use him for a trade or if we can see if he's worth his contract.
Yep,
100%. Because I think it's time. It's time. I mean, Jay Crowder is going to be 33 on Saturday. That's not the oldest in the league by any means, but getting up there when you have the younger guys waiting in the wings, literally wings in the wings. Cam also brings that length that I like, and I like that you brought that up. That he does more. He does more than just launch up the three. Like, especially with Jay, like I don't mind him shooting the three as much because I know he's capable of making it, but it was how quick and early in a lot of these possessions it would be one pass, he has some separation so he launches it, but when that misses a few times, maybe pull it back or drive or kick it out, or let the offense develop a little more rather than just be a real hasty. But yeah, man, I think we're all on the same page here. Anyone that might disagree, let us know in the comments. I love having different perspectives. And it's going to be interesting to see what moves get made here down the pipeline. I think we might be getting close to wrapping up this live segment. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Unfortunately, like you guys were saying earlier, it's been kind of slow. That's what's going to happen when you have, a massive contract being waited on being signed by your star quarterback, matching contracts for your star center, Kevin Durant trade rumors, and then all of a sudden now it's Kyler doesn't want to do his homework, and Marquise Brown drives too fast, and Jay Crowder wants somebody to pay attention to him on Twitter. So that's kind of where our news cycle kind of jumped this week, and that's probably why you're seeing some slow shit on Arizona sports too. So
Hollywood was driving too fast because he was bringing the homework that he does for Kyler to practice for him, and then just shit out of luck, unfortunately.
Kyler does his homework, man. You ever seen him run those plays on Madden when he plays Madden on Twitch?
That's his homework. You remember LeBron said something like he likes playing 2K because he can go look at different matchups and like how
absolutely. Yeah, he builds his rosters that way.
I don't doubt that at all. Well, maybe that's why he didn't factor in Anthony Davis has a 25 injury rating. Literally made of glass.
Man, if Anthony Davis stays healthy again, the Suns are going to be.
Don't put it into existence, Davey. Don't do it.
5 seed.
If the West is
where
healthy,
seeding gets
fully
wonky, man. Here's the deal. I will say this before we go. I simulated a season with the rosters the way they were right after the playoffs ended. And the Pelicans were the number 1 seed in the NBA by like 11 games.
Just with Zion coming back?
Oh, with like
Zion and CJ
and
on the same fucking roster.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Ingram.
I believe
that's another thing with the Pelicans. Like, no fucking way. No fucking way I'm trading Brandon Ingram from Kevin Durant. He's the same exact fucking player.
Mm-hmm.
He's the same exact player. He carried them. He single-handedly almost beat the Suns by himself in the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. And if all he needs is, I mean, obviously he's stuck with Zion now for 4 years. But yeah, that's the West is going to be tough this year, and we can say the Suns didn't take advantage of their 2 years, but I think they did, because now we're not fucking laughing stock of the NBA. We're past the fucking Eric Bledsoe Barber shit. Man, that first week of that season was rough. We lost 3 games by over 50 points.
Yeah,
we've moved.
Is that when Earl Watson got fired?
Earl Watson got fired. Yeah, Portland came in and beat us by 53 on opening night. I think it was the largest opening night loss in NBA history. I think
the dark days.
Mm-hmm. And then Portland came and did it again a week later. They beat us by 40. That's why I really like when we beat Portland, because fucking Dame made sure to fucking rub it in our faces that season, without even doing anything but just being Dame. But yeah, we're gonna see how this Western Conference goes. But man, it feels like basketball's still so far away. It sucks.
Yeah, it's so far yet so close, because I think it's the middle to end of October is when games get started up again.
I thought it was Halloween. I thought that they didn't start.
Maybe
I remember like Halloween being almost opening night. Football season will help ramp it up, but even this season, I'm not that interested in football this year, unfortunately. But we're gonna see. I'll pretend to be interested.
Keep the hope, Davey. Keep the hope, because we're gonna need to have you on, because we're gonna crank up the content as all the sports get rolling. Gonna have a round table pretty soon. We're gonna get Ian back on here. Matt's not allowed, so remember that he's probably not going to be back on ever again. I'm just kidding.
Let's take this to the fucking streets, Chris.
Let's take this to the streets.
Let's take this to another message.
We're gonna have a slap boxing contest, apparently.
Holy shit! Will you just chill out, Ben Shapiro?
I'm chilling. I just think it's funny. No. Yeah, I'm excited. Like me and Mike are heading out to the training camp on Saturday. We mentioned that at the beginning of the stream. Anyone who is still with us live, the person who is with us live, or anyone listening back, thank you for making it all the way through or skipping to the end. And just real excited. So be on the lookout for more to come. Mike, what you got?
Yes, sir. This has been the Heat Check Live, a Valley Sports Plug production. Follow us to join in on the conversation. Valley Sports Plug on Facebook and Twitter at Arizona VSP. You can follow Chris on Twitter at 1993 MFC. You can follow Davey on Twitter at Delmo Sons. Follow myself on all socials at Mike_Benjamin. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube page at Valley Sports Plug. Appreciate y'all, fellas. Definitely had a good conversation tonight.
Sir.
Thank you. And since my computer is tripping, I am going to do a hard cut, but I do want to thank Mike and Davey for joining me, and we will see everyone else very soon. Peace.